Hi, welcome back to next video by Agile Beyond Boundary. The way Agile says we should continuously improve and continuously update ourselves based on the feedback. Similarly, every single Agile framework keeps on updating on the feedback they receive and the industry trends. You might have seen SAFe 4.5, 4.6 or recently launched SAFe 5.0. In the similar lines, Scrum or a Scrum Guide is also updating since 2010 based on this industry feedback. Till this year, we were using Scrum Guide 2017 as our reference document. Couple of weeks back, Scrum Guide 2020 is launched. Let's see what has changed in Scrum Guide 2020 compared to 2017. If I have to explain Scrum Guide 2020 in 3 lines, I would say, number 1, Scrum Guide is lighter and having just the enough details compared to 2017. Second most important thing is easier to understand. It's very lucid and very fluid in the language terms. And third most important thing is Scrum Guide 2020 has clearly defined accountabilities with respect to the roles. Let's see a little bit in the details. When you look at the number of pages in the Scrum Guide 2020, you will see it had just 12 pages compared to 17 pages in Scrum Guide 2017. That means it's massively 27% lighter than 2017. When you look at the definition of the Scrum in 2020, you will see it has clearly defined accountability of the Scrum team and the Scrum Master embedded itself into it. This gives us one major aspect of Scrum Guide 2020 is clearly defined accountabilities around the roles. In 2017, you might be reading product owner is responsible for maximizing the value, or Scrum Master is responsible for creating a Scrum culture into the team. But in 2020, it has been clearly mentioned product owner is accountable for maximizing the value of the product, or Scrum Master is clearly accountable for the creating or implementing the Scrum culture the way it is defined in Scrum Guide 2020. And development team is clearly accountable for whatever they develop as per the definition of the term. That means Scrum Guide has clearly defined roles and their accountabilities in the guide itself. Next major thing you will observe is around the roles. In Scrum Guide 2017, there were 3 different sub-roles in the Scrum team: Product Owner, Scrum Master, and Development Team. This Development Team word itself was causing confusion, as if Development Team is another team separated from the Scrum team. In 2020, this has been corrected, and now we have only 3 roles in the Scrum team: Product Owner, Scrum Master, and just developers, making Scrum team aligned with definition of the team itself. Next few changes are around Scrum Ceremonies. For example, stand-up. In 2017, Scrum Guide itself defining 3 key questions in stand-up. In 2020, you are free to use whatever method that you find useful. Only the thing is, if you are aligned with your sprint goal and you are progressing towards it, it's enough. Anything that you find useful, you are free to use it. And this is fantastic change. Sprint planning meeting also Now, one more objective is added. What is the purpose or what is the value that sprint is trying to deliver? This brings in value-based approach or value-based focus into the sprint planning meeting itself. Next few changes are around the Scrum Artifacts. Scrum Guide 2020 clearly defined what are the artifacts and what is the purpose of each artifact, why they are useful and what is the value they are trying to deliver. For example, Scrum Guide clearly defines what is the product. Product is nothing but a vehicle to deliver the value, which has clearly defined boundaries, known stakeholders, and clearly understood users and customers. Product can be tangible, intangible, or it can be a service. Product goal is defined as product goal is the future state of the product which serve as target for our Scrum team, and the product backlog emerge as what are the things that we need to achieve that product goal. Now, if you link this back with three artifacts, product backlog is linked with product goal. Your sprint backlog is linked with your sprint goal, and your increment that is getting delivered is linked with your definition of done. This clarity in the Scrum Guide itself is really commendable, and it helps us to understand clearly what is the purpose of the artifacts. Next important change or improvement is definition of sprint backlog. Scrum Guide 2020 has used really innovative why, what, and how aspects to define the sprint backlog. Why part of the question is nothing but what is your sprint goal? What are the things you require to achieve the sprint goal is nothing but the items that you are trying to bring in from the product backlog into the sprint backlog. And third most important thing is how you are going to achieve it is nothing but clearly defined plan, that is task, subtask, or additional component that you are trying to put it into sprint backlog. Cohesively, these three aspects, why, how, and what, defines the sprint backlog. Entire ownership or accountability lies with the developers, which is clearly mentioned. Overall, I like the way Scrum Guide 2020 is written. It is really easy to understand. It doesn't have a lot of jargons mentioned in it. It acts like a true guide which defines the borders, and you are free to do anything to maximize the value in that borders. The link for Scrum Guide 2020 and 2017 is already in the description. Stay tuned to Agile Beyond Boundary for the great content, and don't forget to share your feedback in the comment box. Thank you very much. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned.